Taylor has just gotten paid. The All-Pro running back has agreed to a 3-year, $42 million extension.
Was able to get a deal that secured him with an APY that puts him on that higher top shelf.
Is going to make Taylor the third highest paid running back in the league by average annual value.
I know I'm a little late to this, and this video was primarily made because this is a very significant moment in NFL history. I mean, it is truly a story that we could not have missed, and honestly, I'm happy for everyone that's involved. Before we get to the content, if you want to take a moment to support us further, make sure you check out our channel memberships program and our Patreon. All the money goes towards us making better and higher quality content for you guys. And now that we get all of that out of the way, break. My friends, we had a
legendary weekend on Prize Picks.
Your boy personally made $700, and I only missed 2 out of 11 of my picks. And you guys hit me up in the DMs and let me know about it. We're about to ramp it up for this week. Remember, you get a $100 deposit match on Prize Picks when you use my promo code Mikerophone, and I post my picks onto my Instagram story at The Flight Mike for free each and every day that there's a football game. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mike check 1212. What's going on, everybody? On Saturday, the NFL got the conclusion to one of the most interesting sagas that I think I've ever seen. You see, up until this point, many running backs tried, but they all failed to get a long-term deal done with their existing team. Josh Jacobs' story was very interesting, as he was drafted in the first round of the 2019 NFL draft. And this is significant because whenever you select a player in the first round of the NFL draft, you could give them a 5th-year option on their rookie scale contract, which is very good if you happen to be selecting a player that you believe only has maybe 5 years on him until he's going to start playing like a shell of his former self. And the strategy up until this point for running backs has been select a running back in the first round, have him play for you for 4 years, exercise a 5th-year option on him, and if you want, maybe franchise tag him for another year or two. At that point, you get him for 7 years, and I guess they leave the league with like $40 million. And what the Raiders did was, I guess, something that was very similar to what the Cowboys did with DeMarco Murray in the 2014 season. You see, in 2014, the Dallas Cowboys had a very talented running back that they selected in the 3rd round of the NFL draft. As a result, following his 4th season with the Cowboys, he was going to hit free agency. Your options here were either extend him and sign him to a longer contract or just let him walk. So the Cowboys decided to give DeMarco Murray 392 rushing attempts. He almost had a 2,000-yard rushing season, 1,845 rushing yards. He finished 3rd place in MVP voting that year. And then the Cowboys let him go to their division rival, Philadelphia Eagles. What happened after that? Well, DeMarco Murray didn't have a good season with the Eagles. He went from a 4.7 yards per carry average to a 3.6. Now, the reason for that primarily was scheme, because DeMarco Murray succeeded in a power running offense and he went to a zone running scheme. He would find success with the Tennessee Titans in 2016 and then retire after the 2017 season there. And it seems like the Raiders did the same thing with Josh Jacobs. They decided to decline Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option, which I thought was a horrible decision, and then run him 340 times last year. Result, Josh Jacobs had a 1,653-yard rushing season. And then they signed him to a 1-year contract this past offseason. Saquon Barkley also had a similar situation where he had one of the best years of his career with the New York Giants following the 2022 season. Saquon has been fairly inconsistent throughout his career, primarily due to injuries. He had a great rookie year, he had a solid sophomore year, he had a pretty bad 2021 season due to injuries or just not being effective, and then when Brian Dable came in 2022, he averaged 4.4 yards per carry. Giants offered him a 3-year, $45 million contract, but he wanted more money. The result, the Giants told him,
sorry, we're just going to franchise tag you,
and then signed him to a 1-year max. This caused a lot of running backs to get pissed pissed off because, well, no matter what you do, no matter how well you play, at the end of the day, you're not going to get paid what you deserve to be paid. The reason being because running backs are viewed as these players that only have a specific amount of rushing attempts on them, and eventually, after the miles wear on, you got to swap out your running back for a new one, kind of like they're a car. And this really bothered Jonathan Taylor. I mean, the running backs would get together and have these Zoom calls complaining about how things are, and things really hit a boiling point when Jim Irsay, the ever outspoken owner of the Indianapolis Colts, decided to tweet about it. And boy, this was a huge mistake. NFL running back situation. We have negotiated a CBA that took years of effort and hard work and compromise and good faith by both sides. To say now that a specific player category wants another negotiation after the fact is inappropriate. Some agents are selling bad faith. Malky Kawa, the agent of Jonathan Taylor, would respond to this saying that, well, bad faith is not paying your top offensive player. And then the war would begin between Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay. They would have a meeting in a bus where Jim Irsay pretty much told Jonathan Taylor that we're not going to pay you. And this resulted in a bit of a mixed bag where Jim Irsay famously would say, we're not trading Jonathan Taylor. End of discussion. Not now and not in October. And this would end with Jim Irsay saying something relatively interesting where he said, if I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor is out of the league, no one's going to miss us. The league goes on. We know that. The National Football League rolls on. It doesn't matter who comes and goes. It's a privilege to be a part of it. This is where things get a little dicey because Jonathan Taylor's situation is very, very unique. You see, Jonathan Taylor isn't in Saquon Barkley's position at all whatsoever. He wasn't drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. He was drafted a little later. He's not 26 years old like Saquon Barkley. He's 24 years old. And he's only played in 3 seasons in the NFL up until this point. Saquon has played in 5. Taylor had a little bit of an injury history, but nothing too substantial. And every time he's took the field, he's looked like the real deal, averaging 5 yards per attempt in his rookie season, 5.5 yards per attempt in his sophomore season. My man was runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year that year, and then 4.5 yards per attempt in his 3rd season. So in this case, you're seeing Jonathan Taylor pretty much go into his DeMarco Murray season. And he understood, based off of what's happening to Josh Jacobs, based off of what's happened to DeMarco Murray, what's likely to happen to him is he's going to show up to camp. The Indianapolis Colts are going to run him to the ground, and after that, they're going to either try to franchise tag him or they're just going to let him move on. And if he allows that to happen, his chances for a long-term deal become very, very slim. So the solution to this problem is you need to lock in the contract extension before you go into year 4. And if Jonathan Taylor can't do it, then I hate to say it, the entire running back market is I mean, statistically, he backed it up. He played remarkably throughout his first 3 seasons in the NFL. He's relatively young. He's going into his age 24 season. So if he's not able to lock something down, then no running back's going to be able to lock something down. And for the rest of eternity, you're going to see running backs enter the league, potentially get drafted in the 1st round, get paid pretty well compared to, I don't know, a normal day-to-day job. But once that contract expires, they're probably going to be seen as damaged goods and hopping from team to team on like 2 to 3 year contracts. And it looks like Jonathan Taylor won because according to Adam Schefter and ESPN on Saturday, Jonathan Taylor and the Colts have reached an agreement on a 3-year, $42 million contract extension, including $26.5 million guaranteed. That makes him one of the league's highest paid running back, sources tell Adam Schefter. I think this is a great deal. I mean, on both sides, because my issue with paying running backs in the past isn't the amount that you're paying the running back. No, rather it's how long you're paying the running back. The Dallas Cowboys paid Ezekiel Elliott a 5-year, $90 million contract extension, and this was to kick in following the 2020 season, meaning that after his 5th year option kicks in, Ezekiel Elliott was to get paid for 6 more years and $50 million guaranteed. That is something that you cannot do. Like, maybe in that instance, I think what you should have paid Ezekiel Elliott at the time was maybe a 2-year extension, you know, maybe a 3 if you really felt generous, but you're pretty much committing to paying a running back for 11 years. You know, his rookie contract and then the contract extension. That's just not going to work out. In the case of Jonathan Taylor's contract extension will kick in starting next year in 2024, which means you have him locked in until he turns 28. which is not a crippling contract by any means, and it makes a lot of sense given the fact that you have Anthony Richardson on a rookie scale contract. I think the solution to this problem is very clear. If running backs want to find success getting paid in the future, they need to establish themselves as dual threat running backs. At least for now, Jonathan Taylor provided a light at the end of the tunnel for running backs that were selected in the second round or had their fifth year options declined to potentially get into a situation where they can make long-term money. At least a 3-year extension is long-term in this case. And then once that extension expires, the odds of him getting another deal like this, slim to none. I mean, honestly, very slim to none. And he's very smart for not negotiating any further and understanding what the current market was, because this is still below what the Giants offered Saquon Barkley in the middle of the season last year. The lesson that running backs should take from this is if you're offered any type of long-term extension at all whatsoever, accept it ASAP. And if you're a running back or you're training to be a running back, hopefully kids aren't watching this and get disincentivized from ever training to be a running back. But if you are in that position, make sure that your pass blocking game is A1. Make sure you also could double as a wide receiver, because that is your solution here. I think this makes a lot of sense given the fact that Anthony Richardson is a dual threat QB and he's had a lot of designed runs so far. So having a running back that defenses respect is very crucial. I mean, yeah, I know Zach Moss had a remarkable day despite Jonathan Taylor being signed to an extension, but I feel like this was a good decision at the end of the day. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Do you think this was a good deal? Do you think they overpaid Jonathan Taylor? Do you think they should have just let him walk? Or do you think they should have traded him? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.